Okay, welcome to the week 3 of the course ORG 45, 44, 51. Please turn on your camera because it's mandatory for hybrid students to be with camera. Hi, Erica, welcome. With camera on in the sessions. So, are you ready for midterm in the next week or not? Have you studied, Erica, or not? Hi, Jay, welcome. Are you ready for next week or not? You are unmuted. You should unmute yourself. You are muted.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. I'm nervous, but
okay.
everything.
Yes, I hear your voice. Okay, so good. And now this week we have 3 chapters. I hope to have enough time for study all of them. Chapter 5 is about motivating behavior. What is motivation? Simple definition of motivation, and motivation is not a very complicated word. But when you want to give us an operational definition about motivation, it can be a little difficult or a little complicated. What do you define? How do you define motivation? What are the components of a motivation? Or what are the differences between motivation and inspiration, for example? Are the same or not? Different. What is motivation?
Motivation is when you have a reason to do something, or something is kind of making you do it. It's motivating you to do it, so it's pushing you towards your goal, I guess.
Every time you have reason for doing something, can you call it motivation? Reason is enough for having motivation. What is the behavioral aspect of motivation? When I can say, yes, Erica is not so sleepy today, very fresh, and a lot of motivation for attending the class. Where can I say it? I can see that you are so sleepy, a little tired. Yes, you want to be at the class, but not with, for example, camera on. Why? Because you are a little sleepy. Okay. Are you motivated now? It doesn't seem. What is the behavioral, observable component of motivation? What can we see in other people's when we want to say, yes, they are motivated just now. They have a good motivation just now.
Like desire?
What is the behavioral aspect of desire? Yes, but I cannot see your desire. How can I see Joy's desire, for example, about caring of parents? Okay, she has a good desire to caring because they have for example, COVID-19. But what is the behavioral aspect of your desire? What can be seen? What can be observed? This behavioral components of motivation or desire, as you said.
I don't know.
Evie, it's very simple. You know. It's very simple. Passion, energy, passion and energy, work, action, force. These are the behavioral aspect. I'll observe. I can see, yes, Erica is here with a good energy. Say, hi, professor, how are you? We missed the class and everything. Perfect. Erica is motivated for attending the class. But now I say, sorry, I'm a little tired. I want to attend your class, but I'm a little sleepy. Yes, she is here, but not so motivated. Why? No passion, no energy, no good action. It is the behavioral aspects of motivation. And it has a cognitive aspect. As Erica said, it should be reasonable. I have little reasons for doing something, or sometimes a lot of reasons for doing something. And we can call it motivation. No, it is reason. But one of the components of motivation is something you can call reason. In the professional literature of psychology, it is called direction. So motivation has two parts. One, cognitive part, about how do you think about the things. Two, behavioral part and emotional part. The first component is called direction. The second component is called force. When you have direction and force, you are motivated. You have direction and you have force. You are motivated. Direction to do something and good energy to do something. A lot of people have a good direction, but don't have any good force, any good energy, any good passion to do something. They take their dreams to the afterlife, after death. They never achieve their dreams. It says that before your dreams dim, take action as soon as possible before your dreams dim. Take action as soon as possible before your dreams dim. Attain your achievement. Dedicate yourself to attain your achievement. Dedicate, not only go for do something. These are the psychological and behavioral parts of motivation, and also inspiration. How do you think about the meaning of inspiration and differences between inspiration and motivation? Because after going to job as a manager, you should be motivator. As a coach, you should be motivator. As a mentor or leader, you should be inspirator, something more than motivation. What is the difference between inspiration and motivation, inspiring and motivating? Can you find anything serious, any serious difference? What's the meaning of inspiration?
The definition is to fill someone with the urge or ability to do or feel something, especially to do something creative.
Perfect. Urge and creativity. Urging something and creativity. So motivation can be about the present moment and the present possibility and the present probabilities. Motivation is going from now, where you are, to where you want to be. But you know, where do you want to be? In inspiration, you can create the new place, the new dream, the new wish, the new desire for the future, something new. You didn't know anything about it before your creation. And urge something up, urge of something. So inspiration, it is about the future making. It is about the new ideas, inspiration. For example, you can find a lot of theories from scientists, very, very empirical scientists, like Albert Einstein. He says, some of my inspiration, some of my ideas was inspired to me. Not I created them, were inspired to me. For example, during my daydream, during my sleeping, were inspired, not from a metaphysical or something like God, for example, not. It is inspired, the combination of electricity of mind, of brain, and other parts, and a new shape of reality. It is inspiration. So creation and creativity is the major part of inspiration. Inspiration is about ideas, not about only force, not about only direction. It is about ideas. Because of that, for example, someone like Elon Musk, he's inspirator. He's thinking, talking, acting, more than important, acting based on the new ideas for the not too far future, 4 years or 5 years. It is not too far future. He's not motivator. He is an inspirator. Inspiration is one of the greatest features of a leader in all aspects of your life. If you want to be a good leader, to be a leader, you should have two parts. One, future orientation. Two, inspiration. And if you are future oriented and if you are inspirator, you are a leader. Many people are a leader, but they don't know that, yes, I am a leader. Chapter learning objectives are characterize the nature of motivation, including its importance and basic historical perspectives, and identify and describe the need-based perspective on motivation. It's very important, very classical. Identify and describe the major process-based perspective on motivation. So we have until now two perspectives, need-based perspective and process-based perspective. Describe learning-based perspective on motivation. Three, need-based perspective, process-based perspective, and learning-based perspective. And that's it. So what are the major processes of motivation? Three of them. Just now say to me. And you can also copy of your PowerPoint, but it's about your memory, not about answering on your PowerPoint. At first, need-based perspectives, the motivation based on our needs. Two, process-based motivation, the motivation based on the processing of our thinking and our jobs and our doings. And three, learning-based motivation based on our learning. But what is the nature of motivation? Motivation, the set of forces that leads people to behave in particular ways. When you say particular ways, it means direction. When you say forces, it means forces. Set of forces, so motivation, the nature of motivation is based on forces that leads people to behave in particular ways. The importance of motivation. Why we need motivation? What is the importance of motivation?
To get people to move.
It's not related to you. It's not important for you to get people to move or not. Why do you need motivation for yourself? To get yourself to move? That's
Yeah.
it. Perfect. It's a need-based process. Why should I move when I need to move? It's a need-based process. And all your movement, all your actions, all your passion is about only meeting your needs, only your needs, basic needs, or sometimes upper needs like need to self-esteem, need to self-actualize and other parts. Erika, how do you think? Why do we need motivation? Choices for meeting our needs.
Why do we need motivation?
Yeah, simple question with a hard answer.
I think we need motivation because I feel like people can be, I guess, lazy.
Thank you.
Motivation kind of helps people.
To move from laziness for what?
Yeah, to get out of their laziness, I guess.
Thank you. And after not to be lazy, it is enough to need motivation. Okay. One of the greatest things you can learn in the classes is about how can you ask yourself and others. If you want to be a precious, high-priced, high emotional price, high financial price, high spiritual price, high personality price, if you want to be a precious, high-priced people in your community and also for yourself alone, the number one skill is how to ask right questions and how to ask the question in right ways. These are two different things. Finding the right questions, perfect. How to ask right questions and how to present this question in the right way, in the right time, in the right place, in the right vocabulary and other parts, in the right gesture, in the right posture. These are the manner of the way of asking. It is not about the content of question, it's about the form of questioning. So during this class, we are practicing because you will be young leaders in the next, for example, 2 or 3 years, young managers. And after that, you will have your own business. And after 10 years, you see, you are only working hard and hard and hard. Yes, you are self-employed, but you are working hard and hard and hard. You are not a good business owner. You are not a good entrepreneur. Why? What is difference? As Robin says, what differences make difference? And after that, you think, uh-oh, I cannot find the new idea. Why? Because I cannot ask the new question. The question says you what answers are present and what questions we don't have any answer for them. Those are the gap to work on. Those are the good points to work on. If you want to work on the same points that other people have worked before you on them, sorry, it is not a new idea. For entrepreneurship, for good leadership, for money making, for attractive personality, a socially acceptable behavior, and others and others and others, you should find at first questions about these very simple things. I have a very simple question from you as young ladies here. Why do we need motivation? Very, very simple question. Very simple question. It is not important for me, your answer. It is important, it should be important for yourself that, yes, have I think about this question before or not? If yes, what's my answer? If no, why? I haven't asked any such question from myself. It ends to working your brain in different views, in different direction. What differences make difference? Very, very small differences can create great difference, can make great difference. Because of that, in the question, in the classes, I have a heavy emphasis on asking questions, not important. Be free to say everything as answer. Job performance, we should P, depends upon motivation, M, ability, A, and environment. So we will see the formula just now. Job performance, P, depends upon motivation, ability, environment, three elements. Good ability and good environment, skilled worker with no motivation, job performance is down. You see a lot of people with a higher education and a good environmental situation, but they don't have any good motivation. They are so boring for themselves and also for the organization, for the society. Sometimes you see someone has a very good motivation and very good environment, but sorry, he or she doesn't have any good skill training, any good educational level. He's a very, 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 very good until the end of his or her life, a good simple worker. Why? Because it doesn't have any ability. Also, it is fantastic. Why? Because after sometimes and some years, he or she went to learn new things.
You muted yourself, Professor.
And finally, sometimes you see a right person with a good motivation, a right person with a good ability is not in a good place. For example, in developing countries like Middle East, like for example, Africa, MENA, you see a lot of people with a lot of motivation, so smart, and good quality of education, very higher good quality, but they are depressed. They cannot go for what? Why? It's about environment. No governmental environment, no social environment. They are always beating and fighting against the basic human rights and other things that can destroy all their talents for their life to work on. So totally job performance P depends upon motivation, ability, and environment. That you see one of the three elements that create and influence heavily on job performance is motivation. P equal M plus A plus E, or EMA, EMA. P equal EMA, EMA. Motivational framework. You see that experienced need deficiencies, go search for ways to satisfy needs, and choice of goal-directed behaviors, and after that, enactment of behavioral choice or performance, experience rewards or punishment, and finally, reassessment of need deficiencies. It is called feedback, reassessments of need deficiencies. As again, go to experience need deficiencies. It's a loop, it's a motivational framework. This framework provides a useful way to see how motivational processes occur. When people experience a need deficiency, they seek ways to satisfy it, which results in a choice of goal-directed behavior. You see here, direction, goal-directed behavior. After performing the behavior, the individual experiences reward or punishment that affect the original need deficiency. If you go to study computer science, one of the basic parts they will learn to you, one of the basic parts is a concept so-called flow chart. Flow chart is the chart that shows you the flow of the components of a plan, or sometimes it is called algorithm. Algorithm is something like, not the same flow chart, but something like flow chart. One of the most important parts of flow chart and algorithm is feedback point, feedback step. I have done something, I have experienced some deficiency, it is need deficiencies. I should work on them, on my deficiency, and go forward to the next step, developing myself and search ways to satisfy needs. You can find it. You go for a skill training, choice of goal-directed behavior, what type of, for example, skill learning I should take, enactment of behavioral choice and performance, I will take the course, experience reward or punishment, I come to work and they say, yes, perfect. You are better than your, for example, than your previous stage of working. And reassessment of need deficiency. If I have, again, need deficiencies, again, in the loop. Oh, no, I don't have any need deficiency, perfect. I can come out of the loop. The motivational framework that you see here, how motivational process occur. Need, anything an individual requires or wants. Very simple definition of need. I have a question. Regardless of our final grade, no important. Regardless of final grade, why do we need to know the definition of the simple words like need? Why? Assume that you are not a student. Assume that final grade is always A plus. Perfect. Do we need to know the meaning of what something like need or not? If yes, why? If no, why it is here in the book, in the PowerPoint, your time, your money, I am here. Is it important or no? A very formal, rigid framework of education. How do you think honestly about it?
I think we do need to know them. I think we do need to know them because they help us understand other like bigger concepts better once we know all like the little details about it.
Mhm. The basic parts of understanding the bigger parts of, for example, a job or a concept of business. And Joey, how do you think?
I think the small like words like need and stuff like that are important because if we don't know that, then I guess like our positions in the work world aren't, we just need it.
Yes, thank you. It's a very logical answer. We just need it. Okay. At first, it is not needed to know at first. As an ordinary people, it's not important. Why do you need to know the meaning of need? Anything an individual requires or wants. It's very simple. But especially in America, that the fund of knowledge, the basket of words, the area of words that ordinary people in the street know is very, very, very weak. Very weak. Go out of your home, ask about these very simple words. As yourself, as myself also. At first, it creates a competitive advantage for your mind, for your speaking. For example, for a president, it's a very high competitive advantage. One of the greatest options, one of the greatest positive points that Barack Obama had, everybody says, wow, such a good literature, such a prestigious lecturer he is. It was a very high competitive advantage because during, for example, 2 months, you cannot obtain about a lot of words. You should train during 10 years. But after 10 years, Erica will be a very good manager, a very good leader with a high potential of words, knowing a lot of words. It's very important that when you talk to other people, not always, but sometimes they say, sorry, I cannot understand what he or she is saying. Why? Because different words, special words, so literature-based words, so good definitions for very simple concepts. Playing game with the words make your brain more complicated. Playing with words is something like mathematics. Make your brain more complicated. More complicated your brain is, more difficult behaviors, more difficult responsibility you can accept. For example, you can see two women now who are very important in the politics. One, Kamala Harris, and two, it is the senator of the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, not senator in the Congress. Go and see their lectures. Very high level of words, not simple words. Very high level of words. Yes, they talk that everybody in the streets can understand, but say, yes, perfect. She is a senator, she is a congresswoman, and other parts. She's a mayor, for example, or he is a lawyer. Because you want to go to the field of positions related to people. Marketing is about people. Business is about people. Management is about people. Leadership is absolutely about people. If you don't have any competitive advantage in your mind, in your word, in your, for example, fund of knowledge, so you are ordinary. When you are ordinary, how can you expect other people accept you for specific positions like leadership, like management? It is not only about organization. It is about your personality. If you want to be a very good, effective manager, leader, at first you should work on yourself. If you work on yourself in every aspect of your life, you are powerful. If you are weak, if you don't work on yourself in every aspect, as a mother, as a daughter, as a girlfriend, as a manager, as a leader, as a human being, you are weak. When you are weak, okay, sometimes you try hard and hard to do something a little better. It's not frustrating, it is exhausting. And need deficiency. What is the meaning of need deficiency? Triggers attempts to satisfy the need. So we have need and need deficiency. Triggers attempts to satisfy the needs. And goal-directed behavior, we are checking with you the components of motivation. Goal-directed behavior result from individuals trying to satisfy their need deficiencies. These are the behavior, goal-directed. Reward and punishment are consequences of the goal-directed behaviors. And finally, reassessment of need deficiency occurs after the person assesses the extent to which the outcome addresses the original need deficiency. So we have 5 components. need, need deficiency, after that goal-directed behavior, after that reward and punishments from goal-directed behavior, and finally we assess, we gathering information, we data collection and collecting data about the need deficiency. Are we at the same point? So bad. You have wasted your time and energy. But ordinarily, you are not at the same point. Why? At the worst scenario, you are at the worst point rather than than the original point. But in the best scenario, you are at a different point, an upper point, and very better point rather than the first point. Historical perspective, the traditional approach to motivation. Scientific management, the father of scientific management is Frederick Taylor. Is the at the end of the 19th century and the first years of 20th century. Frederick Taylor is the father of scientific management. Assumes that employees are motivated solely by money. Perfect, thank you, Mr. Taylor. And sorry, lot of people, lot of managers in 2020 think like Frederick Taylor at least 120 years ago, at least. Many people now think that, yes, employees are motivated solely by money. The next approach, the human relation approach, assumes employees need outweigh money and that fostering favorable attitudes, the illusion of involvement results in motivation. It is the human relation approach. It says that the major motivator of every human action is not solely money. It is about the relationship and the illusion of involvement that people think that, yes, I am the king. I am the president. I am the manager. I am the faculty. I am a teacher. The social value that that position give you, and because of that position, you think, yes, I should be motivated. And the human resource approach, human relation approach and human resource. Assume people want to make genuine contribution. Managers should encourage their participation by providing the proper working environment conditions. It is something like the most modern approaches to motivation. The stronger, together we are stronger. For example, the motto of Nordstrom. Together we are stronger. Give a good sense of belongingness, give a good sense of obligation to the company. Why? You think that, yes, it's my honor to work for example, Nordstrom. Yesterday, I think I had read in your book or other book that in 2019 or 2018, Walmart was ranking as the worst company in the grades of giving service to its employees, the worst. No medical options, no extra time options. Okay, doesn't create any uh, good obligation, good commitment to the company. And you see, for example, a high rate of turnover for Walmart during the last 5 years. Sometimes you see major Walmart employees are older people, the people who are afraid of creating change in their life. The younger people go Walmart for starting, but after they see that, for example, they don't have any good uh, options and good environment, hard work, and lower money, they say goodbye. Because of that, the human resource approach is very important, very, very important. Magnitude, strength, and generality. We talk about self efficacy. Self efficacy is your judgment about your success. In what degree do you think that you can go and you can be responsible for your success? It's your self efficacy. It's a matter of judgment, not a matter of feeling. It's a matter of cognition, not emotion. Self efficacy. And youth, it is coined by Albert Bandura. Albert Bandura is one of the first 10 psychologists over the history of scientific psychology, near 130 years. Albert Bandura is always in the first 10 great scientists, psychologists as scientists. Very, very great. He has coined some words, some phrases. The greatest phrase is social observation or observational learning. Second one is self-efficacy. Self-efficacy has three components: magnitude, strength, and generality. Magnitude, what does it mean? The magnitude believes about how difficult a task can be accomplished. If you have no fear about the difficulties of your task, you have won half of your winning process. Half of your winning process. Many people don't enter any activity because of they assume that it is too hard, it is too difficult. It is so fearful for me to do something difficult, to do something hard. If you accept that to be difficult or not to be difficult is not a criteria for choosing or not choosing a task, I have accepted always that yes, sometimes it is difficult. A lot of times it is difficult. Why sometimes? Life is difficult. If you accept this, you have passed at least 50% of your winning process. That I don't think about the difficulties or hardiness of a task. It is not my criteria. It is not my choice. It is the choice of the task. It is difficult. Okay, I am more difficult. It is not difficult. Thanks God, it is not difficult. So it is a matter of choice to considering it is difficult or it is not difficult. It is magnitude. A strength is meant believes about how confident the person's task can be accomplished. At first, I think about my task, about my duties, about my responsibilities. Are they difficult or not? Are they hard or not? It is magnitude. Second one, how I think about myself, how strengthful, how powerful I am. And third component is generality, believes about the degree to which similar tasks can be accomplished. Do I have any alternative for this difficult task or not? These are the components that shape your self-efficacy and very important. How do you think about the task external? How do you think about your personal strength? It is a strength, it is internal. And what is the process between you and your task? It is generality. It's very important, very, very important. Please at least read a book, complete book about self-efficacy. Sorry.
You're mute, Professor.
You muted yourself again.
Sorry. No, it was a call from university and I should answer them. And need-based, we have three approaches: need-based theories, process-based theories, and learning-based theories. Need-based perspective on motivation. Assume that need deficiency causes behavior. It's good or bad. It is not about goodness or badness. It is about transcendence or not. If you work only because meeting your needs, you are always begging your life. Begging your life. Why? You only work because meeting your needs. No transcendence, no improvement. If my needs are met, it's enough. Yes, it is true, but it's basic truth, not the final truth. Yes, everything begins with your needs. It's true. But again, if everything ends with your needs, sorry, it said we should cycle. Need to need, need to need. No new things, no creativity, very boring, very lazy life. Not so transcendence, no transformation, no improvement. But one of the greatest theories about the motivation is need-based theories of motivation. Assume that need deficiencies cause behavior. The hierarchy of needs, the most famous theory about the needs is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. We have 5 stages here. It is hierarchy. If we cannot meet the needs of the first stage of the first step, you cannot meet the second step, the third step, the fourth step, and the fifth step. So the first step is about basic needs. Assume that human needs are arranged in a hierarchy of importance. 1, basic or deficiency needs, physiological needs, security needs, and belongingness. And growth needs are self-esteem and self-actualization. Abraham Maslow divided the hierarchy of importance of needs in 2 categorizations. First, the needs that meeting them is very important for you to stay alive. Not improvement, not development, nothing, not growing, only stay alive. At first, I am alive, basic needs, food, water, air, and other things. Second part, I will stay alive, need for security and safety. And third, I am not alone, love and belongingness. These are the 3 parts of needs that is very important for every human being to stay alive. After that, I should know why I'm specific in the earth. I'm not like other beings in the earth. At, at least not in the earth planet, I am not similar like other beings, like for example, tigers, chimpanzees, ants, and other animals or plants. At least I think as human being, human race, think that yes, we are a special being here in the earth planet. After that, I am thinking, yes, I am here. I can be here, security, and I am not alone. It's belongingness and love. After that, I want to know that where can I go? What's the final aim of life? Human beings are the only beings in planet Earth that think about the meaning of life. We are the only beings in the Earth planet that think about the meaning of life. Chimpanzees don't think about the meaning of life. They don't have anything, something like meaninglessness or major depression or suicide. Yes, you think that whales are suicidal. It is your interpretation about that part of killing cell, and sometimes we don't know it is killing or not killing. We are the only beings in the Earth planet that think, yes, life can be meaningless. We are the only beings in the Earth planet that feel alone. Loneliness is one of four greatest major existential pains of human beings. Other beings in the Earth planet doesn't have any sense of loneliness. And third one is freedom. We are the only beings in the Earth planet that needs and try for freedom, battle for freedom, kill themselves or other people for freedom. And finally, it is about death anxiety. We are the only beings in the Earth planet that think about our death and go in front of a mirror and think, "Wow, how old I'm getting. My skin is like that." We are the only being in the Earth planet with a lot of cosmetic productions, or sometimes with, for example, plastic surgeries, beauty surgeries. No, any other beings in the Earth planet doesn't do it. No, none of them. You cannot find a tiger go, for example, a beauty surgery. Tiger is tiger, cat is cat. Because of these pains, which are called existential pains, the pains related to your specific existence as human being, we have two parts of needs. One needs about the need deficiency needs, or need of being and need of becoming. Needs for basic needs, for deficiency needs, for growing. Needs of being and needs of becoming. Also, the major concepts of being and becoming is not from Abraham Maslow. It's from Carl Rogers at the same time, at the end of the 60s and the first years of 70s. It is from Carl Rogers, Being and Becoming. It's a very good book, very, very good book. It is on becoming a human. The author is Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers is one of the greatest thinkers, authors, and especially psychotherapists in the history of psychology. Carl Rogers, with a very great book, so-called, with the title of On Becoming a Human. You can see also here the uh, part of hierarchy of needs. The first part is physiological needs, from base salary or sustenance, and security needs, person, plan, and stability, and belonging needs, friends in work groups and friendship, self-esteem, job title, status, and self-actualization. It is challenging job and achievement. Uh, Abraham Maslow, in his book Motivation and Personality, says that near, I think, 3 to 5% of people reach the final stage, self-actualization. Only 3 to 5%. Many people are at the, honestly, at the three first levels: needs of deficiency, staying alive, to be alive, staying alive, and the final and the greatest part, they need to love and belongingness. 3 to 5% come to self-actualization, and it is always near the midlife crisis, between 40 to 60. It is the age of midlife crisis. You think that, what is my share of life? As soon as possible, I will die in the next decades. It is not too late, so soon to be late, so soon. Because when you are 45 years, you think that, wow, when I was 20, I think, wow, such a long way to 24 or 45. But now I'm 45, and I think that, wow, it is not too long way, to, for example, to become 70 after 25 years again. Because of that, you think that, what has become to my life? What has happened to my life? What should I do as a meaning of life? It is called mid-age crisis, or midlife crisis, or middle age crisis, different words for the same meaning. In that part, 3 to 5% of people go for self-actualization. Need-based perspectives. ERG theory from the Adorfer. Describe existence, relatedness, and growth needs. It is ERG. Existence is prior to essence, relatedness, and growth needs. Three parts of needs, not only two parts. It's not only about the deficiency needs and growth needs. It is about the existence needs, related needs, and growth needs. Assumptions. More than one need may motivate a person at the same time. Yes, it's very simplistic thinking that only one need, only one deficiency can motivate me or you. We are multidimensional people, and it's obviously that multifactorial motivation can impact on us. Satisfaction progression and frustration regression. Two parts. Satisfaction, after that you have progression, or frustration, after that you have regression. Progression is about future, is a matter of future, and regression is a matter of last time or last part of your lives. Satisfaction is about from here to the future, and frustration is from here to the previous time, to the yesterday. It's about the last and past. Components imply that a person may not stay at the same level of needs in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's very important. Words are very important. When and where you can work with the words, okay, you are starting to think about the things. Why? Because the satisfaction and progression is a very, very important and game changer, life changer phrase. How can you find that you are progressing when you are satisfied? How can you find you are regressing when you are feeling frustration and other parts? So try to work with the words. Herzberg two-factor or dual structure theory. Assume that motivation as a construct has two separate dimensions. As a construct. Construct is very professional word in psychology. Motivation factor which affects satisfaction, and hygiene factor which determine dissatisfaction. So you have two factors, two types of factors, motivation factors and hygiene factors. Motivation factor which affects satisfaction, and hygiene factor which determine dissatisfaction. Assume motivation occurs through job enrichment once hygiene factors are addressed. Hygiene factors are addressed. Criticism to this theory is maybe both method and culture bound, yes. Fails to account for individual differences. It's very, very, very total view to the human motivation. I said it to you before that one of the first titles that psychologists as scientists started to work on it was the study of individual differences. It is for the second part of 19th century, not for 20th century, not for 21st. Yes, it continues just until just now, I know. But the origin of scientific studying in psychology, one of the best titles was studying the individual differences. So when you look at people as a holistic and a total perspective, you cannot consider individual differences. It's a good philosophical mind, but not a good scientific mind. Why? In science, you should find, especially in America, you should find some application for science. We have two types of science, basic sciences and applied sciences. Generally, basic science, generally at the first, general basic sciences from Europe and applied science from America. After sometimes, some decades, American scientists found that it is not good for us only to produce application from the basic sciences. So switch the views of the university to basic sciences. Now, one of the greatest centers all around the world about basic sciences is also America, with a good investment on basic sciences. But we have two types of, for example, mathematics is basic science, but you have a major field in university with the title of applicable mathematics or applied mathematics. It is using mathematics, for example, in computer science, using mathematics in economical behavioral models, using mathematics for creating some models for example, trade marketing or stock market marketing. Okay, but basic mathematics is basic science. You can find some application, or chemistry, or biology, or physics, or quantum physics, and other parts. So one of the greatest criticism about these types of theories that they don't consider the individual differences and go inside an organization with an echelon, not higher echelon, lower echelon, and say, this is our stereotypic, this is our the manner-based approach to human behaviors, and we don't consider the individual differences. So we cannot use it as an applied science theory. But as a basic science and philosophical mind, yes, good. And factors like pay may affect both dimensions, or dimensions of satisfaction and dissatisfaction. You see here, the traditional view says that satisfaction and dissatisfaction are oppositional. Yes. Herzberg view says sometimes you have satisfaction with no satisfaction, and sometimes you have dissatisfaction with no dissatisfaction. So separate satisfaction from dissatisfaction. One spectrum only for satisfaction with two direction. At positive direction, we have satisfaction. At the negative direction, we have no satisfaction. No satisfaction in this theory is not meant dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction is something else. And again, in another spectrum, you can see dissatisfaction and no dissatisfaction. So here, when you don't have any dissatisfaction, it doesn't mean that you have satisfaction. It is something like the scientific definition of health. If you go to the formal site of World Health Organization, at the first page, you can find the meaning, the definition of health. It is World Health Organization. What we are working at, health. So the first question is, what is health? 1948, not 2021, 1948, only 3 years after ending World War II, we have established World Health Organization. What is health? In the formal site of WHO says that health is not merely the absence of illnesses. It's not merely the absence of illnesses. It is the perfect condition, perfect circumstances, perfect state of full mental, physiological, emotional, and social well-being. Something more than the absence of illnesses. It is something like that. Dissatisfaction is something different of no satisfaction, or satisfaction is something different from only and merely no dissatisfaction. It's two separate categorizations. You can see in the range in the spectrum of satisfaction, we can see motivation, folks, achievement, recognition, the work itself, responsibility, advance, and growth. It is in the spectrum of satisfaction. They are motivation factors. And hygiene factors are about dissatisfaction. Some, for example, supervision or working conditions again, and interpersonal relations, and pay and job security, and company policies. McClelland is one of the most famous people in social psychology, especially in industrial social psychology. He had made a very, very famous applicable inquiry test questionnaire for assessing about the different approaches in societies based on psychological sciences. Acquired needs framework, the need for achievement, the desire to accomplish a task or goal more effective than was done in the past. It is the definition of need for achievement. You can use your definition in your daily life that can I use the need for achievement, for example, today in contrast with yesterday, in different ways, in more completed ways, with higher quality ways, the same things I have done yesterday. The need for affiliation, the need for human companionship. How can I affiliate with other peoples? I have a question. What is the difference between affiliation and intimacy or relationship? Is there any, not intimacy, relationship? What is the difference between affiliation and relationship in your personal life, in your organization, in your friendship? Are you affiliated with your parents or not? You have relationship with your parents or intimate with your parents. What type of relationship is called affiliation?
When you're just a part of something, but you don't, it's not close to you.
Uh-huh.
Is that a good way of explaining it? I don't know.
How can you find that you have some types of affiliation to someone or something, or no? You have relativeness, not relationship, relativeness to other people. Is different between the operational meanings of affiliation and relativeness or not? They are the same.
I feel like you can be affiliated to a lot of people, but you're not always gonna be in a relationship or like have a relationship with that like everyone. Like you can be affiliated with a lot more people than you share a relationship with.
But what is the difference with this type of relationship as affiliation or the relationship as relativeness? For example, what type of relationship do you have with your parents? Affiliation or relativeness? Or no, something else you want to call it? Are you affiliated with your mother?
Yeah.
Are you related to your mother?
Yes.
Are you intimate with your mother, for example? These are different. Sometimes you are affiliated with your mother, but for example, intimate with your boyfriend. Sometimes no, you have a good intimacy with your mother. Per case, it is different. But when we are talking about the organization, we are talking about the affiliation, companionship. Is there any specific criteria for diagnosing that yes, we are affiliated to each other or not in an organization? Affiliation has the sense of belongingness in itself. The sense of belongingness with everything, especially with your relationships, especially with your organization, especially with your, for example, university. When you are affiliated, you have a sense of belongingness, sense of commitment, sense of being together. For example, when you're affiliated with your job, it means that, yes, I think my job is reflecting some personal aspect of my personality. It's good for me. It is called a strength, signature strength. And the need for power. Basic question, is power good or bad?
It depends how much you have and what you use it for.
How do you think? In what parts it's good and what parts it's bad?
You have too much power, it can turn into bad, but it really depends on what you use it for. If you use it for good or if you use it for yourself.
Yes. We have something so-called too much power. For which person? For example, if I am a wrestler, athletic for wrestling, it depends to my, for example, muscle power. Too much power, much power, little power. Power is a relative. It has a lot of relativity in considering power. Why? Because many people think that power is not good. Many people, do you think power is always the root of corruption? Do you think everybody has a good power or sense of power? Something more than power is sense of power. He or she finally will go for some types of corruption or not? No, we have healthy powers. Joy.
I would think we do have healthy power, but I also feel like there could be a chance for it to be too much power and then it becomes bad. Like, I guess, for example, like our past president, where he wanted to have power and he was put in power, and then he wanted to overtake everything.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like you can be a president and have power, but once you want more, then that's where it becomes a problem. And I do think that when you go from power to wanting more, then that's where the corruption comes in because you don't want to lose it.
Yeah, perfect. Because sometimes someone is eligible for having and using some types of power. For example, if you are a surgeon, you are eligible to work with the knives for surgery. Perfect. Why not? You are eligible. You have the power to use the knives for cutting the body of other people for medical purposes. Perfect. It's a power. But if you are drunk, in that position, you are a surgeon, you have a people to work on it as a surgery, and you have good knife, but knives are at the hand of a drunk surgeon. You are not eligible in that time. It is corruption. It is abuse. Yes. So one of the things which is deeply related, interrelated with power is maturity. Maturity is the level of your wisdom about using the power. We don't have any type of good power or bad power, or much power or less power. We have appropriate power and inappropriate power, matched power and mismatched power. Power for who? Power for what? Power for why? These are the major questions about the power, especially all aspects of human being, all aspects of human beings are engaged with the, not the problem of power, not the issue of power, with the matter of power. Power is not a problem. Power is not an issue. Power can become a problem. Power can become an issue. Power is a matter of life. But as you both say correct, that the amount of power and the personality, the features of power holder is very important to use power. So we cannot talk about the power. We can always talk about the power holder, because naturally, basically, intrinsically, power is not too good or not too bad. Some philosophers, like Nietzsche, have talked about power. Nietzsche, the German Austrian philosopher, has a very famous book with the title of Will to Power, very famous book. And Nietzsche died at 19. At the end of the 19th century, Nietzsche died at the first year of the 20th century. He has a very important philosophical book about will to power and describes all aspects of power. And also, I have read a book about the use of power in organizations and in negotiations. I will find the name of the book. Name of the book is, the title of the book is Power, How to Get It, How to Use It. I read it about 25 years ago, but was great for handling the sessions, your relationships. Very, very smart book. But I don't know. It is revision up to know or not. I don't know. But very good book. And I will find the cover of the book and put it in the Moodle page. Highly recommended. Very simple book, but highly recommended to read it as the manager, as a leader, as human beings, because a lot of locations, a lot of situations that you will confront in the future as manager, as high level leaders, are the same positions with the same concept that you will involve in your life, in your daily life, out of organizational life, out of organizational leadership life. As a daughter, as a citizen, as a wife, as a husband, these are the same. The application point is different. The concept are the same. So the need for power is one of the greatest components that McClelland talk about it in the need framework. The desire to control the resources in one's environment. I don't want to enter the psychology and the theories of power. It is specifically you will train in the course of leadership. But yes, control and influencing are the greatest words for defining the word power. The desire to control the resources in one's environment. Also, it is the definition of McClelland. Okay, what time is it? Perfect. Before going to the process-based perspective and motivation, you can have a 15 minutes break, and after that I will hear for the next hour. Okay, welcome back. And we are here again to continue the perspectives of motivation. The next perspective is process based perspective. What does it mean in contrast with need based perspectives and learning based perspectives? It is process based perspectives on motivation. Focus on process based perspectives. Why people choose certain behavioral options to satisfy their needs. It's about the process of behaviors. Note that we have three components in everything, especially in behaviors and behavior analysis. If you go to the Stanford site, formal site of Stanford, you can find uh, some departments, some specific focus on design, behavior design by Dr. Fogg, Fogg. Dr. Fogg said about the persuasive technology and about the uh, behavior design. In that part, also you can find that we have different parts of behavior design, and three parts are major in all aspects of behaviors. First, content of behavior. Second, it is about form of behavior. And third, it's about context of behavior. So when we want to analyze the process based perspectives on motivation, we should consider these three elements: content, form, and context. So the major question is why people do something in the same manner they want to do. What is the choosing criteria for choosing a style of behavior? Why people choose certain behavioral options to satisfy their needs? Why they don't choose other options to satisfy their needs? It's a process. How people evaluate their satisfaction after they have attained these goals. It's very interesting research have done, I think. I'm not certain about it. There's a very interesting research conducted, I think, by Harvard that says the attainment in the path of attainment a goal, people are happier than when they achieve their goals. The attainment process, in the attainment process, people are happier than achievement point. It's very interesting. When you are trying to attain something, you are happier, you are more forceful, you are more excited, more motivated, since then you reach that point and say, wow, it's over. It's also about the happiness of success. And the equity theory of motivation says focuses on desire to be treated with equity and to avoid perceived inequity. It is one item of process base. And equity is the perceptual bit that one is being treated fairly in relation to others. So the key word of equity is to behave fairly. Inequity is a perceptual belief that one is being treated unfairly in relation to others. So when you are talking about equity and inequity, you are talking about two keywords. At first, fair or unfair. Second, relation to others. You cannot be you cannot find equity and inequity related to yourself. It is related to other people's and treating and behaving and acting fairly or unfairly. The equity comparison says outcome of self, ratio of outcome to inputs compared with outcome to inputs of others. It can say it is equal or unequal. For example, how do you work with others? Do you act to other people as you want them to work or act to you, or you are ready, you are satisfied to work or act with yourself? So it is an outcome to input, outcomes to inputs from for the self compared with outcomes to inputs to others. Again, comparison of self with others, inequity and equity. Equity is motivation to maintain current situation. If you think that working and acting with you and with other people is in a fair manner to yourself and other people, it is equity. And inequity is about change inputs, change outcomes, alter perception of self, alter perception of others, change comparisons, and live situations. Sometimes you are living the unequal situation of your life. Maybe it is racial inequity, maybe ethnicial equity, maybe sexual inequity, maybe national or related to your nationality and other things that you can find inequity to your life. Um, we have a word in psychology. It's called also in life coaching. It is called zero expectation. What does it mean, zero expectation in life? How do you think about it? What does it mean? If you want to be happy, you should have zero expectation of your life. Is it true or not? It's a false belief. If you want to be a happy relationship with your partner, you should have zero expectation. What does it mean? Zero expectation.
If you have expectations and they don't get met, that could be cause for disappointment.
Yes, but if you don't have any expectation from other people, what is the meaning of relationship you have with them? Some people think that relationship is means meeting each other expectations. I meet your expectation, you meet my expectation. It is means our relationship. When we say if you want to be happy in your relationship to other people, it means zero expectation. What does it mean? It's a very simplistic definition of happiness or not. It's true. And if you think it is true, how can we apply this principle in our daily life?
I'm, I'm a little confused on the question.
In psychology of relationships, we say if you want to be happy in your relationship, you should reduce your expectation from your partner to the zero expectation. You should not have any expectation from your partner. On the other hand, a lot of people think, what is the function of relationship? Why do we need have some relationship with other people, especially intimate relationship, for example, with our partner? The function of relationship is meeting needs of each other. If you have some relationship with your partner, the function, the usage of this relationship is you meet his or her needs and he or she meets your needs. So it creates expectation. What is my expectation of my partner? That he or she meets my expectations, my needs. What is his or her expectation? That I meet his or her needs. Okay, so there is a balance between the needs and expectation. Sometimes they are at the same page, and sometimes they are not at the same page. On the other hand, we say if you reduce your expectation from your partner to the zero level, you always will be happy. If you reduce your expectation from your children, you always be a happy, for example, a parent, or vice versa. At first, my question is it true that we should reduce our expectation from other people to zero level? And second one is that if it is true, how can you create a balance between your expectation and meeting your needs? Is it clear now, Erica?
So I think that we shouldn't have so many expectations or such high expectations of someone else. But the ones that we do have, we should make it known to the other person. So that way they can work on it, or they can like tell you if it's not going to happen at all. But this way it's not just like one-sided expectations.
So you don't think that it is logical zero expectation, but you see that yes, we should don't have high level expectation. It is not zero, but it is lower level. And what about you, Joy? Can we have zero expectation from other people or not?
I think you can.
We can.
Mhm.
To have zero expectation.
Yeah, I think so. Because there's some people that I don't have expectations for at all.
And they are significant for you,
Yeah, it's just the
but
way
you
they
don't have any expectation from them.
No.
It is exceptional expectation, not ordinary expectation. Also, it's very healthy. It is like begging money from other people. You are a beggar, and you want to give and some financial help from other people in the street, and you haven't received any money from the early morning, any money, even 1 cent they give to you, it creates a happiness in you. Why? Because your pocket is empty, fully empty. Full empty pocket is something like zero expectation. Why? The most approved, scientifically approved in psychology, the most scientifically approved, most evidence-based approved component of happiness is gratitude. The most important, significant, basic, vital, crucial component of happiness is gratitude, is appreciation. So when your expectation, it is not in reality. In every relationship, we have some types of giving and taking. I know. Why not? It's a relationship. But it's about your expectation of the relationship. It is not about the relation, giving and taking the relationship. It is a very materialistic component that what I have given and what I have taken. Perfect. Why not? But in your mind and in your heart and in your emotions, if your expectation is zero, you will be always appreciated. And appreciating is the basic part of happiness in all aspects of your life, in your organizational life, in your love life, in your sex life, in your social life, even in your individual life, in your privacy. When you are private with yourself, intrapersonal, not interpersonal. So with motivation, we have a theory from Rome. It is called expectancy theory of motivation. Motivation depends on how much we want something and how likely we think we are to get it. Wanting and getting. Wanting and getting. It is expectancy theory. The balance, the power line between wanting and getting is your expectancy. How much we want something, first. Two, how likely we think we are together to get it. It is about motivation, components of motivation. Key components is effort to performance expectancy, performance to outcome expectancy, outcome expectancy, and valence expectancy. Effort to performance expectancy is meant the perceived probability, not possibility, the perceived probability that effort will lead to performance. So we have distinguished, very hard distinguish, very serious distinguish between effort and performance. Sometimes you have many efforts, a lot of efforts, but not the same level of performance observed by other people. A lot of effort, a less performance. So the first component of expectancy is effort to performance expectancy, the perceived, not the real, the perceived probability that effort will lead to performance. Second one, performance to outcome expectancy, the perceived probability that performance will lead to certain outcomes. So you have three elements: one, effort; two, performance; and three, outcome. These are different. These are not the same. Yes, these are at the same line back to back. At first is effort, second part is performance, and the final part and the third part is outcome. Third, outcome. Anything that results from performing a behavior, it is a scientific, simple definition of outcome. What is outcome? Anything that results, sometimes the keyword for outcome is results. Results are the same outcome. Anything that results from performing a behavior, and valence, the degree of attractiveness or unattractiveness, value that a particular outcome has for a person. It can be attractive for you, it cannot be attractive for you, it can be unattractive for you. So we do something, it is called effort. People can see our effort, this is called performance. The results from our performance, it is called outcome. There is two type of expectancy: effort to performance expectancy and performance to outcome expectancy. These are two types of expectancy. And finally, what we have gained, what the outcomes are, behavior are attractive or unattractive for us. It is valence. You can see here the expectancy theory of motivation model: effort to performance, environment, performance, ability again, and performance to outcome. It is comparison, two parts of two different theories of motivation. Porter-Lawler model, it's the name of the founders, focuses on the relationship between satisfaction and performance. There's a very simple, very, very simple logic here. I want to do the jobs, the issues, the careers, the actions which are more satisfiable for me. It's very simple now, very simple now. You want to do the things that will make you happy, that will make you satisfied, that will make you so powerful. And why do you want to be powerful? Because it is the source of your satisfaction, for example. More happy, more joyable, more joyous sometimes. So it's a very, very simple principle between the satisfaction and performance. But as a motivation, assume that if rewards are adequate, high level of performance may lead to satisfaction. For example, if you think or if you expect that after finally undergraduation from KU, you will have a good job, for example, in General Motors. And General Motors says every student that undergraduate from California Miraval University with a higher degree, higher final degree, with no interview, we will hire them in General Motors, for example. And it is very good for you. You are so motivated to go and work for General Motors. It is a very different level of motivation for you compared to someone that think after undergraduation, I should go to several interviews and work for a mid-level company. And that company, I am a mid-level manager and. So if rewards are adequate, high levels of performance may lead to satisfaction. High level. Satisfaction determined by perceived equity of intrinsic and extrinsic rewards of performance. Note that A lot of things. I have several personal experience in my life about it, that a lot of extrinsic or tangible rewards were not so uh, satisfiable for me. So there was a very huge gap between my tangible rewards and intangible rewards. So satisfaction is determined by the perceived. It is not about reality. It is not about observation. It is about your perception. Your perception is the meaning you give to the events of life. If it is about, for example, five senses sensation, yes, the perception is the meaning you give to your, for example, sensation, five sensations. But here, perception is the meaning you give to the event, to the reward, to the punishment, to the future of your life. You say, for example, perceive future. How do you, what are the meaning of the future or your perspective of your life for yourself? It is your perceived future, not observable future, not, for example, real future. It is your perceived future. Satisfaction is about your perception. Many rich people say you, that when I was not rich, I was, I had a greater level of satisfaction, higher level of satisfaction. Why? Have you heard this? That many rich people say, I wish sometimes that I was not so famous, that I was not so rich, but I was more satisfied. Why? You have a lot of money, a lot of tools, a good car, a beautiful partner, a good, for example, home, but you say, I am not happier like the time I was trying to achieve these goals. Why? Because their perceived future was very brilliant for them, was very fantastic, very attractive for them. And now they don't have any very fantastic, they have fantastic future. Why? Because they are powerful, and the power distance between their real self and ideal self is less than the starting point of their, for example, achievement process. You see, the Porter level model, value of rewards go to effort, and perceive effort reward probability again create efforts. Efforts at two power role perception and abilities and traits, and will end to performance. Performance has two outcomes: intrinsic reward and extrinsic rewards. Together they go for satisfaction, and again perceived equality of reward and perceived effort reward probability. They have some interaction together. It's not so complicated, but you should know the components of the model. The Porter and lower expectancy model provides interesting insights into the relationship between satisfaction and performance. It's very important. As illustrated here, this model predicts that satisfaction is determined by the perceived equity of intrinsic and extrinsic rewards for performance. That is, rather than satisfaction causing performance, which many people might predict, this model argues that it is actually performance that eventually leads to satisfaction. It's a good model. I like it. Why? Because everybody think that after uh, satisfaction, our performance is related to our satisfaction. It says no, no. Your satisfaction is related to your performance. It is not a matter of satisfaction that because I want to have that satisfaction, I should do something. It says it is related to yourself. How professional, how master, how skillful you are in your performance. Doing something professionally, doing something in a master way, doing something as a skillful man or woman creates your own satisfaction, intrinsic satisfaction. And it is about your perception. How do you judge yourself in the criteria, in the scales of good or bad satisfaction? And guideline for using expectancy theories determine the primary outcomes each employee wants at first. As a manager, at first, you should determine the primary outcomes each employee wants. Second, decide what level of kinds of performance are needed to meet organizational needs. At first, you are talking about the employees. The second part, you are talking about the need of organization. Make sure the desired level of performance is possible. It is not about the fantasy. It is about the real world. It is possible. Sometimes it is not easy. I know. Why not? Life is difficult forever, but it is possible. The matter of possibility, it is not a matter of to be easy or to be hard. It is about the range of possibility we can observe in external world or not. 4, link desired outcomes and desired performance. So we have two parts: desired performance of the people, of the employees, and desired outcomes of the company. Analyze the situation for conflicting expectancy. And many times we have some conflictual situations in companies between the desired performance that organization needs and desired outcomes that employees want. Make sure the rewards are large enough in the size of performance you want. Also, in other hands, we have a law in economy. It is called the law of diminishing returns. The law of diminishing returns says that if the tools, if the employees, if the prizes sometimes are larger than your expectancy, you're meeting the expectancy of organization will not meet at the same level. A lot of prizes, a lot of rewards for the employees will reduce their efficiency. Why? It is overpricing, over rewarding. Something like interview. You go for interview. I have a PhD and go to, for example, very simple work, and they said, sorry. I said, why? They said, you are overqualified. It's good. Thank you that you are qualified, but you are overqualified. This is the law of diminishing returns. When the qualification, when the tools, when the apertures, when the rewards is very higher than the real needs, these extra parts, these over parts, diminish the returns, diminishes the efficiency of the company or organization, or sometimes in personal life. Make sure the overall system is equitable for everyone. And the final part is about learning-based perspectives of motivation. What's the meaning of learning? A relatively permanent change in behavior or behavioral potential resulting from direct or indirect experience. Indirect experience is called rehearsal. For example, what you do about your studying course, it is rehearsal. It is indirect experience. Direct experience can be observable and measurable. So learning is change. Yes. What type of change? Permanent change. What type of permanent change? Relatively permanent change. So the major component of occurring learning is change. If you don't have any change, you haven't learned anything. Absolutely. The major component, the major keywords of definition of learning in your daily life is your change. When you know that, yes, I have learned something that I can see as an observer, sometimes of change in your behavior. It should be permanent, not transient, but relatively permanent. Behavior or behavioral potential resulting from direct or indirect experience. So we have three keywords. 1, change. 2, permanent change. 3, experience or rehearsal, which is called direct or indirect experience. How learning occurs? One of the first questions in psychology. We have a specific academic field so-called educational psychology. It is all about learning. Oh, it is a PhD. School psychology, educational psychology, and learning psychology, all at the level of PhD, very old-fashioned of psychology and very helpful Sometimes it is called animal psychology. Why? Because of the findings of learning psychology, we have trained how to train other animals for circus, for example. This is educational psychology, conditional psychology, learning psychology, with the greatest new ideas, like, for example, observational learning or social learning by Albert Bandura, that we talked about him in the previous time. Traditional view, classical conditioning, stimulus and responding, a simple form of learning that links a conditioned response with an unconditioned stimulus. And Pavlov, you can say Pavlov conditioning in his dog. And contemporary view learning as a cognitive process. We are not pigeons. We are not rats. We are not rabbits. They condition so good, very good, with no exception. Sometimes we think with no exception. Because of that, we can train animal for circus, for some types of very, very fantastic, unbelievable movement by the animals. How can you do it? Do you want to talk about animals? No. There is no meaning in the mind of, for example, of a dog, of a lion, of a pigeon, especially, that know the meaning of the word. It is about conditioning, associating between the word the animal is hearing and the action you want, especially in the reward, the animal will receive. For example, you see that you go for dolphinarium, you see a lot of dolphins with a very human-based actions. You think, sorry, is it a simple dolphin? And they said, yes, but he or she has trained for these actions. Why? Because of conditioning. But in human being, it is not so simplistic. Why? Because I think about the actions I should do. I have some types of cognitions. The problem is about the problem. The tools for problem solving is your cognition, your mindset, your thinking. And sometimes vice versa, your thinking, your cognition will be your major problem. So the problem solving tools is your problem creating tools. Because of that, in compared to traditional view, we say contemporary view, learning as a cognitive process. Assume people are conscious, active participants in how they learn. They are not passive participants. It seems that lions are passive, tigers are passive in circus, in learning, passive participant. Pigeons are passive, monkeys are passive participants in learning. But I am not passive, I am active participant. I intervene with the participate, contribute with the learning process, sometimes changes, sometimes different answers with the old same ways. I have different gaze. Why? Because I'm a human being. I have cognition, you have cognition. Because of this very humanistic approach to learning, we have some learning cognitive process now. It's basic reinforcement theory and learning about the classical approach to learning. Operant conditioning, so-called, coined by B.F. Skinner, one of the greatest psychologists in the history of psych, B.F. Skinner, very, very famous, one of the icons of behaviorism all around the world. We have two persons, one, J.B. Watson. It is not about the behavioral therapy. It is about the behaviorism at the beginning of the uh, century, 20th century. Please go to YouTube and see the movie about um, Little Albert. Little Albert was a son that J.B. Watson, the founder of behaviorism, created fear in that child, accompanied with his mother. And after 20 years, little Albert was again Albert, but not little, and go to the court. And some complained against his mother and J.B. Watson that I was only a child. And they created fear in me, and also they created anti-fear in me. They resolved the fear. But I was the mouse of library for them. It's a little Albert. We have some movies, we have some documentaries, black and white documentaries about Little Albert. Very, very interesting. J.B. Watson and Little Albert. And the second man is B.F. Skinner. B.F. Skinner is the founder of behavioral therapy or behavioral modifications about also animals in circus, about the pigeons, about the mice and other little animals that we use in library, behavioral library all around the world, not only here. All behavioral laboratory all around the world have some mice and some rabbits and some rats sometimes. It's about operant condition. Operant condition says that you pay money to university. It is the stimulus for studying. Okay. It is a stimulus and response. Pay money and doing something. But sometimes you think if you study hard just now, you will have a good future. Operant conditioning, it is about the outcome, desired outcome in the future. It is not about your stimulus before you. It is about the outcomes after you. You do something not because of your stimulus, not because of motivator before you, because of the perspective of the future. It is operant conditioning, not classical conditioning. Behavior is a function of its consequences. Reinforcement is the consequences of behavior. Types of behavior, we have positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, extinction, and punishment. These are different parts of reinforcement. It is very interesting that extinction and punishment are also types of reinforcement, but negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is that everything that can reduce the probability of recurrency of something, it is negative reinforcement. Sometimes it is called, for example, avoidance. Present stimulus and remove the stimulus. It is positive and negative nature of a stimulus. You can see action and types of reinforcement. You have present the stimulus and remove the stimulus. For example, if you give present stimulus, it can be reward, or it can be fining for your crimes, fining for your faults, and remove the stimulus. For example, reducing the pain. If you use some narcotic disorder, narcotic materials, or substance abuse, you want to remove the stimulus. What is the stimulus? Your pain. And after that, you will addicted to some types of substances, for example, opium family. And sometimes it is negative and positive. The final part is social learning in organization. The final, very natural, very obvious finding about learning is it is not true that we learn only from the books, from the reading. We see, we reach, we look at other people, other elites in our community, and learn a lot of things from them. It is observational learning. It is social learning. It's a basic question how you acquire your culture, how you achieve your brain, achieve your culture. Why we talk about the different cultures, Persian culture, Hispanic culture, white American culture, Asian culture, Middle Eastern culture, and also family cultures, ethnic culture, racial cultures. How you acquired your culture, not by talking with you. You see and experience your culture. Because of that, if you are an immigrant to another country and your parent doesn't work on your culture will be changed for example, after 10 years. Yes, I am basically, for example, Iranian, Persian. But if I'm here and don't work on culture, especially for my young children, after 10 years, they don't know anything about the roots of their culture, or there are mixture of culture. It is very ordinary. Some parts about the American culture, south of the Californian culture, even something different from other parts of America, and sometimes from family-based culture as Iranian people and other ethnicities or other races. Because of that, social learning is very important, especially in organization. You don't have enough time to talk about everything with your employees. They should learn from each other. It is called social learning by observing and analyzing in your mind. Occurs when people observe the behaviors of others. recognizing their consequences and alter their own behavior as a result. Conditions for social learning. The last part is behavior being observed and imitated must be relatively simple. Very simple. The simpler, the more effective. The simpler, the more effective. Observed and imitated behavior must be concrete, not intellectual. Simply and concrete, observable. When it is very intellectual, it's good. But you cannot observe. Why? Because we are talking about observational learning, social learning. How can I observe what is, for example, in the mind of Erica? I cannot see. I see that Erica has sit here and try to, for example, listen to the course. I cannot find and see the content of her mind. If I see that, wow, she has sat here very polite, very calm, and very good attention, I say, yes, she's a good student. If I see that, like today, she's relatively sleepy, sometimes she is tired, I think, no, the student doesn't have, for example, good interest to the course. Why? Because I am only looking at the face, looking at the movement, looking at the what I can observe. It is not good or it is not bad. It is about observation. Because of that says, observed and imitated behavior must be concrete, not intellectual. A learner must have the physical ability to imitate the observed behavior. I go and see every day, for example, what the champion is. American Ninja Warrior. I watch the series of American Ninja Warrior every year. And I see that's good. Such a good body they have. But, for example, my wife asked me, why don't you do such things? Because I don't have any good physical ability to imitate the observed behavior. I have some observed behavior, yes. I want to do it, yes. I have a lot of interest to do it, yes. But the basic part is ruinous. I don't have any physical ability. So learner must have the physical ability to imitate the observed behavior. And the final part is about organizational behavioral motivation, OB mode, the application of reinforcement to people, organizational setting. And this part continues, fixed interval, variable interval, fixed ratio, and variable ratio. It is the different parts of reinforcement. Any question? Okay, you have about 10 to 15 minutes time now to answer the quiz. If you are so tired, you can do it after class. Legally, you should do it just now because you are hybrid students, but it's relative to you, not relative to me. Joey, anything?
Yeah, for the case study, what are you gonna put it up? Because I know you sent out an email saying to start on it, but I'm not really sure.
Go to the case study and the details are there.
Oh, it is. Okay.
About the number of words you should use. What is the structure of case study? You want to have an introduction. After that, the main content, and finally some result and discussion. It is very simple.
Okay.
No worries. But do it on time.
Yeah.
Schedule time is very important for the grade of case study. You have one case study. In master degree, to have two case study, and one of them, I think, it is group case study. It is very different from bachelor science. It's very simple, but it started these days because I have the bad experience with the students. When they start at the week 5, they are very anxious about the content because you should find some good content, some good title, and after that, it's very easy. Okay, have a good weekdays. Bye.